dear Swami. We are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavatha Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Please let us know if you are able to hear us online. And we apologize for any noise that you may be hearing. I think we are having a little bit of a speaker issue here. So that's causing the noise. So we apologize for that. But that's something that we'll have to do with and look for magic from Swami. So currently we are going to go ahead and start our study circle. Please remember to mute your cell phones for those of you who are here. And let's discuss our next session. So the last session, and I did not have that, though I listened to it, I did not have the time to update this one. But I know there was an active discussion on unity of thought, word, and action. We did listen to Swami's discourse of 3 minutes. I think it was around 3 minutes, talking about the importance of unity of thought, word, and action. And then with that, the first discussion topic was about what is stopping us from having the unity, or stopping us from having unity of thought, word, and action. And a lot of points were very good points were actually thrown into the mix. First was self-confidence. I heard courage. There was there is judgment. That is an issue. Also, the maturity of the person and of the intellect in itself to show us the right way. Then there was also the idea of how we perceive and perceiving our actions as well as perceiving others' actions, because our mind is always justifying our actions. So with that is the gist of everything that I had kind of listened to last week. Does anyone have anything to add? This would be a great time. I know I was not completely present for the session. So Sairam.
Sairam, just a few things to add to that. Of course, you mentioned courage, and the social norm. See, that is another thing, because we just follow what everybody else does, even though our heart doesn't agree with it. We just follow because everybody does. And the final one we talked about was the faith. So the lack of complete faith is what makes us deviate from what our thought says. I think that those are the points that we discussed. Sairam.
Very good, Sairam. Thank you so much, because I was really not present. So I appreciate that. Anyone else have anything to add? Yeah, we are trying to fix the loudspeaker here as well. So let's just see if that works. All right. So moving along, we actually were discussing unity of thought, word, and action. And this is with chapter 14, where we had identified a few topics of faith in divine will, detachment and renunciation, leadership and dharma, thought, word, and unity of thought, word, and action. So we are continuing our discussion on thought, word, and action. And we have successfully, we read through the discourse that Swami had given for unity. And with that, we actually started our conversation and also watched a video. And with that, we did talk about the distractions and conflicting expectations. And then we talked about what role does unity play. And now I think we need to move along to talking about how purity plays a role in unity, and what is purity. Basically, I think that's where we should start the discussion, because why is purity considered unattainable without unity? And how can one balance the pursuit of unity with the challenges of modern life? That was the question that was posed here. But I think we should start with, what is purity? What does it mean to, what does it mean to have purity? what is purity of thought?
In my opinion, what is pure is whatever takes you towards realizing your divinity. Anything that takes you towards materialistic or body or mind related is not pure. That is the highest thing, I think. But even anything that you abuse, I'm using that word in this one, abuse the body or abuse the mind. What does it mean by abusing? You are using it for a purpose that is not the intent for which it is created. So whenever you do something, deviate from it. You have that freedom just because you can. You deviate from it, mostly because the mind will, which is attracted to a few of the things, and basically you fall slave to the senses. And so what happens is you do things or you say things that is body related. And I think that those are not pure or impure, in my opinion. Anything that is okay, that's what I think.
So, okay, so there is, so I was just looking up because I had saved something. So, purity is of, this is too loud. Is it my mic? No. I don't know if people can hear it online. Not me, it's just happening. It's not the Sairam.
We can, you can let them know if they can hear. Sairam, we'll do one thing. Just remove the connection to the speaker. Turn off the speakers. Turn off the speakers. We don't need it. But we have to use the microphone because that's how it's streamed.
That's how it's.
So let's see if they can hear. Huh? They can hear.
They can,
I think this is better, Sairam. Let's
okay,
keep
then
it.
yeah, this is a better
good.
option.
Yeah.
See, Swami is so smart
Mhm.
because he knows that the speakers were the only thing that I was worried about, because we are in an apartment, right?
Apartment.
So Swami has said, okay, this is really not worth it at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just feel that way because that was the only concern I had, even
Yeah.
when Prashant had said about it. So
Yeah.
anyway, so when we talk about purity, I just couple of things, right? Purity of, so if you're Rama, all his actions were pure, right? But if we as a layman look at Rama's actions, we tend to judge it because our minds in itself are agitated. They are not in a pure space. That is why I think the reason purity matters is to going back to Soumya's question on how do we decide if it is right? You know, how do we decide if this is the right action I'm doing? What is my dharma at this point? That's because we don't have that purity. That's, you know, once our mind is calm, that is when at least we can gather our thoughts, or thoughtlessness is purity, in my opinion. But that's very hard to get. That is Swami's way of doing it. You do the action, but do not have any expectations from it. So I think that's something that can help. I mean, this is just my thing, but purity comes, it's a very complex thing to kind of discuss, because I don't think we are there to understand what that is. My thought. Calm mind, yes, we can relate to a calm mind if we actually just focus.
See,
inwards.
yeah, I kind of agree. The one is what I think when we see what is happening, we generally, our mind comes and gives an interpretation of whether it is right or wrong, whether it is see, all those judgments are only because of the mind. We don't accept whatever has happened is what has to happen. See, that acceptance doesn't come right away.
Yeah.
Immediately it says, oh, that should not have happened. This should have been done.
Yeah.
All those things, the mind mind only plays all that.
Yeah.
So
Ahankara and Mamakara is being the
correct.
reason.
So
for
the
that.
ego is the one that because of our past karma, or maybe our past experience,
Mhm.
our mind comes and gives an interpretation of whatever has happened in the past. First of all, it has happened in the past. Nothing can happen. Nothing can change that. It has already happened. So, but still, we come and then it comes and says, "Oh, that is wrong. Okay, that should not have happened." All those judgments are only a mind in the mind. And from what I don't know the connection between that and purity.
Purity and unity. So
Yeah. So
unity can only happen if you have purity, because then you are not judging. Then you are not. So all the top points that you talked last week, right? All of that will be a non-issue if we have purity. A calm mind will not be agitated. A calm mind will not care about other people's thought. A calm mind will definitely have the courage. The self-confidence comes with a calm mind. All of the faith comes with calm mind. So all of those parts that we addressed last time, I think, come with the purity of thought at least should be there before we move into talking about or understanding unity.
see, okay, let's say, let's take this scenario. A thief is there, a very honest thief. Okay, he goes and tells that I think we have heard about a story also. A thief goes and who is caught in a king's chamber or something, but he's very honest. He says that I came to rob this, and they ask why did you do this? And then finally, I think the king appoints him as the minister because he finds that the minister has been stealing stuff and putting it in his chamber and not revealing. Right. There is a story. So now, when he says the truth, there is a unity of thought, word, and deed. But his action, do you consider that as pure or impure?
Yeah, wrongful action.
Wrongful action, is that pure or impure? So that
Again,
is
intent is what matters, right? So intent of that action,
Yeah.
that is also very important. I mean, Swami always talks about intent.
Correct.
Because he doesn't care if you're wearing, he always says, you wear white clothes, inside you want to kill someone and hurt someone so bad. That is done. It's already done. You've done it.
Yeah.
So I think intent is also something that we need to focus on.
Yeah.
But the reason that we always talk about, see, children, very pure because they don't have expectations. Acceptance is very easy. If most of the time, the children are very, that's why we like to have, it's always gives us, you smile. It gives you peace. It gives you a calmness. Why? Because the child is a pure form of ours. Our reflection is pretty pure when it comes to the child. And as they grow, they build their own like cycle of whatever karma. And then obviously purity kind of declines, I think. So is purity, so without unity, there is no purity, and without unity, there will be no purity of thought. So purity of thought is basically, at least in our sense, to not complicate it, right? So if you are a thought, word, and action, like Uma ji had mentioned last week, if that is aligned, then you should have the courage. Then you should not have to worry about your faith.
Exactly.
Then in that way, you will not worry about many things that come and go in our daily life, So that's one thing that I...
See, only when we have the courage to face whatever comes, then only we can stick to that thought, word, unity of thought, word, and deed. Because, for example, in the Indian situation, for example, you see all your colleagues who may be just getting under the table. You are very strong. You don't believe. It requires a lot of courage to remain that way, because there will be social pressure, so much pressure on you to do that, because they all feel that they are doing it. If you don't do it, it becomes an issue. So that pressure will be there. So it requires a lot of courage to maintain that unity of thought, word, and deed. And what you're saying is, see, that is where I think if you just have the unity of thought, word, and deed, I am not sure if you can consider that as a purity. That's where I'm having a little bit difficulty.
No,
what I'm thinking is,
it is not. Yeah, purity is the next level, but you cannot attain purity without having the unity.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So purity is not something that experience, because we are still trying to get to the unity of our actions and thoughts, words.
Yeah.
So once we have, and there are certain times that we achieve that.
Yeah.
And those are times that we enjoy a peaceful night's sleep.
Correct.
Nothing bothers us.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's I'm totally with you. Yeah, that doesn't, purity only comes if we
next level.
if we have the unity.
So if we have the unity, then if for the purpose, for example, if everybody is united, if there is unity of thought, word, and deed in accepting under the table, in that whole office, everybody agrees, everybody is peaceful, because the boss, right from the boss to the peon, everybody is in that one, then there is unity of thought, word, and deed, but it's not pure. So the purity is a great purpose. So that's what I want.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Anyone else have anything to add? So in today's modern day, right, how do you, we talked a little bit of the challenges of modern day life and how we can do it, but how does that build our character, right? Doesn't mean we all have really negative characters just because we don't have unity at all times, right? But at the same time, it doesn't make it a divine character. So there is a big difference between having a divine character and having a good character.
See, I read a book on leadership. I think you had some topics to discuss on leadership. And in that one, Swami clearly talks about the two types of leaders. One is, if you are very clever, if you are able to manage to tell what is nice for you, meaning you tell nice to your boss, all the good things to your boss, please the boss, and please your workers under you, then you can really climb up the ladder. Then you are a clever person. You may be, for all practical purposes, you may be a very successful, in the commercial world, you may be called a successful person, but you are not trustworthy. So to be a trustworthy person, you have to be a person who follows the unity of thought, word, and deed, and be straightforward. And all the qualities that are required for maintaining the unity of thought, word, and deed, which we discussed last time, all those things are needed. You have to be courageous, you have to be strong, you have to be all those things that we talked. If you do that, then you earn the title of being a trustworthy person. You may not be successful. You may not be really in the commercial world. In the today's world, you may not be considered as a very successful person. You may not be earning a lot of money, all those things. But people around you, they will know very well that if that person tells something, he means it. Or if I tell something, that person is going to do, or whatever it is, that trustworthiness will be there. So I don't know where which question I tried to answer this, but I
was just trying to
character. That's the character. So that character of that person is directly related to how strong you follow the unity of, because people around you, they can easily figure if you deviate from what you say, or if you deviate from if you do something that they cannot see your thoughts, though you will only know, but they can easily relate what you do with what you said. If they see a lot of changes in those two, they can easily figure that, okay, he will say something but may not follow. So they will easily figure. So then that loses the character. So that's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just went back to our discussion. This is Swami's discourse on unity that we had read. And in this, he said, he always says this, and it makes sound very easy. Love all, serve all. Sounds very easy, but it is very hard to do. Because I have observed time and again that I have to tell myself about love all, serve all. My senses, my judgment, everything runs in before I even, before I can come. So this is a learned behavior. It may have been a character at some point, which I have obviously overridden it with all the worldly things, because world is not love all, serve all. At the same time, Swami has given us so many do's and don'ts, right? That, hey, don't do this. Love all, serve all, but use your discrimination. Love all, serve all, but be aware of who you are helping, how you are helping, right? So all of those things, I think, are so hard to practice in general. I think love all, serve all is easier said than done. So, and practically, how do you approach that?
Yeah, when you're attachments, because especially like love all, serve all is very easy, as you said. But because of our attachments, we always have some reservations. That's exactly then we will be having, okay, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So when you don't have any attachments, whether it's either your next person also or like whoever it is very close, that's where like you can think about that. If you think if the divine is in everyone, and if you think that like the divine, where whatever you're doing it is for the divine for the next person, that may reach out to you that.
So, yeah, coming to that. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So the reason I brought up love all, serve all is because when I was listening to the discussion from last week, I felt we should have discussed food as well. How food impacts, because in this, see, Swami will always go back to saying, eat only, how does food impact our thought? How does food impact why is Sattvic food so important for Sattvic thought? And does it really happen? So I thought that is something. What is this link between food and our thought?
You wanted to say? Okay. Yeah, as Swami says, food and our thoughts are directly related. So the person who prepares the food, the what do you say, the thought that is going on in that person who prepares, the love of that person in making that food directly affects the person who eats it, because it's all I think if you listen to Sadhguru, I think he also talks about it, because it's all, food is nothing but the biological, we just consume that, and so
Energy.
it becomes part of our body. So it makes sense, even scientifically it makes sense that it's all connected. See, the person who prepares the food, if that person is in the right frame of mind, doing the right thing with love, then naturally a lot of care will go into that food, and the person will think about the effect that food will have on the person who eats it. That will happen only for example, in the family, when the person cooks, they are going to make it healthy, really healthy, because they know that the person's. So if you are in a commercial world, they are going to cater to your taste, which is nothing but the senses. The health comes later, because that's where the difference comes. So if that person does that with love, then it's good for the person consumes it, who consumes it.
But in this modern world, that is the toughest thing to achieve. First off, because we are all, so a lot of us, some of us cook every day, but in general, a lot of us will cook and eat stored food, right? Because that's the way life is at this point. And how does that relate to health? And then, of course, our mental being, right? And the second part that I do want to bring up here is food is, I know it's easier said than done when we say food should not be just for the taste of it. A lot of us eat because of the taste of the food, right? And we also indulge, because I've been on a cruise. I'm just saying how important that indulgence, unless you really can think of it when it happens, it's very hard to come to that balance of understanding what is going into your gut at this point. But again, you want to survive those 5 days. You eat what is there. Of course, it's only 5 days for me, but it's not the same way for everyone, right? So again, practically, how do you do this? How can you work through with the food aspect of things, right?
See, if you look at even in among the students in Swami's college, it doesn't mean that they don't serve ice cream. It doesn't mean that they don't serve sweets. It's all served, right? What Swami says is you eat everything with moderation. So if you just because you like something, you consume a lot of it, it's going to affect. So now the best thing to do is to pray before we eat. Say the moment we say Brahmarpanam, I think Swami says that, I don't know, in the thought for the day or something, he says that consume the food after offering to the Lord. So the moment you offer it to the Lord and then you take it. So like Brahmarpanam, or it can be a simple prayer. Please, Swami, please have it. That's enough. So, and then you consume, then that becomes a prasad. So all the ill effects of the person cooking and all those things are reduced. I'm not sure if it is completely gone. It will depend on the faith of that person, but it will be reduced considerably. So coming back to this, the sattvic portion, it's extremely important because the body, the mind and body are very closely related. So the sattvic nature is, because if we are going to be spiritual, if you want to progress spiritually, then sattva guna is the one that has to predominate. So for that to happen, the food that you consume also has to be sattvic. So it's just that connection.
Again, so let's go back. I don't think so. It's very hard to. So when you look at all the Puranas, you know, there were rules and regulations for their food intake, but it was not always sattvic. Yes, the sages probably had sattvic food, but it was not sattvic for everyone. Like the Ramas and the Krishnas of the world, who actually ran the entirety of the world, they fought. They were not just linked to the sattvic, but they made their food sattvic by being able to have that unity or have that purity within themselves, because they followed the aspects of the Vedas, but their lifestyle was conducive to that, I feel. Right now our lifestyle is different, so there in itself the unity doesn't work. That's what my point was when I'm talking about food. Our unity ends there because our unity of thought is there. Oh yeah, I should eat healthy food all the time, be given to our senses. That's one thing that's gone. The second thing that we think about is, oh, I want to be able to eat sattvic food. But unfortunately, fortunately, in this world, when we move outside of our kitchen, we cannot truly get sattvic food unless we are living in an environment like that. Again, our thought is there, but the action is different, because that doesn't work in this world. So in this modern world, what defines it for you? I agree with the thought for prayer. Anything that you offer it to Swami will obviously, have negated some of the effects, no, even if it is not all. Overindulgence is something that will definitely be controlled if we actually offer it to Swami, because that is you won't overeat. You are only eating that plate that you have set for yourself. So those are things that I totally understand. Is there any other thing that we could do to make sure that our intake is more pure than what we think? It doesn't have to be totally sattvic food. Any food can be made sattvic, I believe, if we have the right kind of faith, and we don't. faith comes and goes. That's why we waver. But even if that is the case, what other practical approaches can we take in this modern world to see what we eat is healthy, or healthy as in is good for us in terms of is potent in positivity?
See, what I think, what I can think of is, again, why do we go and eat all the what do you I would call it rajasic or tamasic food? It's either because the mind, I mean, we are just catering to the senses. That's all it is. So at that time, as we discussed last week, the heart will come and say, when I say heart, the buddhi, as I mean, we were discussing about the thought for the day that we had the week before, where Swami talks about the four aspects: the intellect, the mind, and body, and all that. So the intellect, which is closest to the heart, is going to say, hey, this is enough. You have eaten too much. Okay. Don't go for it. It won't help your health. Okay. Stop it. But the mind will say, oh, just one more cup, one more laddu, or one more sweet. Okay. That's what the mind will cater to the senses. So you either succumb to that, or you're strong. So that's again comes to that unity of thought, word, and deed. So if you are strong, if you have the courage to follow the heart and not to the senses, and then mind will accept and then keep quiet. If you're not able to, if you're weak there, then you're going to cater to the senses. So where will you get that strength from? That strength will come from the faith.
Right.
Faith, and or you have the strong conviction that whatever you have read or heard in this satsang and all that. See, that's why all this satsang helps. So when we hear everybody else share their experiences or what they can do or what they have done in the past, that can help you bring that strength. And when you get that strength, you may be able to say, or stop the mind, follow the heart.
See, another aspect. So, yeah, that is all nice to hear, right? But when you actually do it, so in the modern world, actually eating pure foods is more expensive than eating improper, impure foods. Okay. You have to have certain amount of knowledge, certain amount in your bank balance to be able to eat the food that is right. Yes, you can eat some, I'm sure you can eat dal every day, but my point being, even that is not something that you get as easily in a McDonald's or something, that it's more easier to get these items than having potent items. Again, health costs money, even when it comes to food. So how do you deal with that? What is the priority for such things? Have we done something like that? Yeah, please go ahead.
Sairam, not sure exactly what we are trying to figure out here. The first thing is sattvic food versus other food. So in olden days, most of the society was running based on traits. The traits were requiring a lot of physical activity. So there used to be a different kind of foods allocated for each trait. Like if you are in education or spiritual side, so go for sattvic food. People are working hard, are going for wars, those people need to consume non-sattvic food. So when we come to modern days, we're almost got rid of all those traits. Everything is brain related. Only few traits or a limited number of jobs are required some physical strength, which requires. Those people still can go for non-sattvic food, but we can always prefer sattvic food because we are consuming very high caloric food nowadays. That's the biggest culprit for all our health issues. Our physical work gone down, but our intake calories went up. That is the major difference nowadays in our food habits. So we need to distinguish both two. So go for sattvic food because those physical traits are not there anymore. We can still live on sattvic food with less intake, less caloric values. That's one thing which I would say. Again, There is one scientific journal somewhere I read. It's a spiritual, both balanced scripture. Somewhere I read it. So what they said is, whenever you cook the food, you better consume it in 3 hours. That's what they recommend. The moment after 3 hours, the food decay starts,
Correct.
which also become non-sattvic, what they recommend. Once you start cooking the food and then keep it aside, the maximum you can keep it for 3 hours. It's recommended, but in nowadays, it's not possible. We all know that we are running, we cook 3 times a day or 4 times a day as usual. So let's stick to that fundamental and try to stick. It's impossible to follow everything what they say, but if you remember the basic principles, you will come back to that basic principles once in a while, at least, to maintain that balance.
So we are saying that food impacts our thought process. And Swami is saying the same thing. That was the point that we were trying to make. But it is so hard when it comes to food to kind of control the entirety of it. For example, before, when they used to eat, they knew the farmer who grew it. They knew the chickens that laid the egg. They knew what the chickens were being fed. Now we don't know all of those things. But again, we have to kind of finding that balance in modern life is what I'm talking about. How can we achieve that? Is there a practical way of how we do things that can help, the others? For example, we always clean utensils. So we know that we are eating in clean utensils all the time. We try to keep it as fresh as possible in a lot of ways. Most of us, don't try not to eat, too much of a old or rather frozen foods. So those are things that I think as items we could take. Again, how does that relate to love all, serve all? Because Swami goes from love all, serve all to eating healthy food.
Love all, serve all connected to food.
Correct. I'm just wondering why he would, yes, love all, serve all. Then he brings up health, and then he brings up food.
So I believe,
See? Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
I believe here I'm in an impression that Swami told that because connected it to the food. Love all serve all is connected to food. According to Swami, I believe is when you intake healthy food, that's how, as we spoke, our brain inherits the consumed enzymes or
Positive
something
thoughts,
and
yeah.
positive thoughts.
Mhm.
So everything that goes out in our body will either they reflect or they die inside. So Swami always wants us to show the reflection of love and affection or helping nature or serving people outside. We should not keep it inside for ourselves.
Right.
So if we take some food which have adulterations or taste catching
Yeah.
things, we might not able to our mind or brain will be not able to create such positive thoughts to help others. So for example, people say that if we eat so much of chili powder in food,
Yeah.
if you make it a habit, you might be having thoughts of aggressiveness. That's what people say. If you take curd daily, well, some people make fun of, so if you take curd daily, your cheeks might grow. So everything you intake is being compared with what's showing outside. So that's what Swami thought. I mean, like, I believe if you take good food, you will be healthy enough in such a way that you reflect your positive thoughts on the outer world. So then you can spread love. That's what.
Very nicely put. Thank you, Prashant.
Sairam, see the way I connect, I can see the food aspect to love all, serve all. Is let's say we want to go and serve a soup kitchen.
Okay.
In a place. Okay. So we can go and serve what is convenient for us to make.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and that is easy for us to make as a group or as an individual, easy for us to cook, and we think that they will like it. But if you really love that person, love that group that is there, you will think about how that food is going to affect them. Will that affect them? So you're going to look at their health aspect. And so I think Soumya pointed out to that one last time when she said that want to give something, they are asking for food on the street, you want to give them, but you're not sure whether you want to give them the cookie or a chocolate.
Yeah.
Because what if that person doesn't has diabetes?
Yeah.
So it's not good for their health. So a loving person will think about the health first than catering to their taste. So this is just food is just one aspect. I'm just trying to connect the laval serval with the food. So if you really love that person, so just like if you love a family member, you're not going to cater to their taste. You're going to cater to their health. So it is the same thing with anybody. So I think that's how I can see the connection between laval serval and
Very good, Sairam. Yes, I agree.
Sairam.
Absolutely. Anyone else have anything to add?
This reminds me of, I think it was a few sessions back or some amount of sessions back, we talked about how we should treat our body as like a temple itself. So when we eat unhealthy food or improper food, it's sort of showing not love to first ourselves, our bodies, but also to Swami himself.
Absolutely.
So that's why we have to do that, because we have to show our love and respect to God and our body.
Very well put. Thank you, Bhargav. So we have established that good food will give us good thoughts. And Swami says once that happens, that's when you will at least have the first step into unity of thought, word, and action. Because your thoughts are pure, based off of your food, at least intake. So food may play a big role, I believe, based off of this discussion, as well as in previous in many places, Swami always gives a lot of importance to food, on what you eat, how much you eat. He actually ate very little, and it's not that he didn't have likes. Also, he had some likes that he loved certain items a lot, but even that was very well controlled, and he taught a lot of students about it. A lot of them speak about how their portions were controlled, because Swami kept reminding them of that, especially in the growing age when you feel like eating, and when they are really hungry, and he would always guide them to that. So for us to get to that level, since we didn't grow up in that way, having that kind of control, what helps us to have that control? One, I can see prayer. Yes. What are the other things that can help us control our inclination for eating healthy? Because our actions will speak louder than words. So it is one of those things that I think we all need to work on. All right, we can move to the last question.
No, I can only, I think we discussed this one before.
Yeah.
So I think only listening to your heart, I think that's what we already talked about.
That.
Yeah,
yes.
Just repeating it.
So I think we only have about 5 minutes more left. So I just want to conclude unity discussion today. And then next week, we will start with watching the video. Yeah. From Arvind, and then continue the discussion on that. So so the last one that we have here is, yeah, please go ahead. Please. It won't be on.
Now it's on. Keep it on and keep the stop.
I apologize. I was not able to sugarcoat my sentences. I had been trying a lot. but we are overemphasizing sattvic food. Okay, the body is made of rajogun, sattvagun, and tamagun. We need all. So, is rajogun bad for us?
Not when it's controlled.
Exactly. Is tamagun bad for us? Exactly. So we need all the three gunas. We need to see that thing was said, well said, but it was said in a particular context. So we're not disagreeing with that. We are saying all the three gunas are required for the body, number one. So we need all the three kind of gunas of food also in our diet. That's why. Otherwise, it was not very tough for God to make just sataguni body. Why did He make all these three gunas? It is important for us. It is required for us because the man is made of all these three vrittis. That's how the whole nature is made. So all these three gunas are required. All the three guna foods are required. We had a study in India in Sir Gangaram Hospital in New Delhi. I was practicing, cardiac patients and all that. So at one particular time, they had 14 beds in cardiac ICU. Somehow we have overemphasized sattvic food, and so much. There's a sect called Radha Swami, just like Sai group, we have Sadha Swamis. Out of 14 patients in cardiac ICU, 10 were Sadha Swamis in one time.
Right.
So they were not eating non-veg. They were not eating alcohol, taking alcohol. They were not smokers. What's causing them to have cardiac MI? Yes. So there were other factors. So for physical part, we'll talk about the spiritual part in a separate context. We're talking about the physical part also. These things are said for the modern world to have some element of spiritual growth. That's very good. But if we consider that all the sattvic foods which are defined by our these things, that's not 100% correct. So all those people were not eating non-veg, no alcohol, no smoking, no onions and garlic. Still, they had the cardiac issues. So let's keep it clear in our mind. All that is not directly proportional to the physical health. Number one. Number two, it depends on the vritti of the patient, of the person also, what he's inclined to. I worked in a in a nursing home, an elderly nursing home in Virginia itself. Average age of patients were 90. Average age. Some 106-year-old, some were 86. That average age was 90 at any given time. And they all consume non-veg. They all consume alcohol. Okay, very clear, no doubt. So are they all bad, or is it all completely bad for us? Then that theory gets disapproved. Yeah, let me finish, please. Yes. So, and all these people are non-spiritual. That's also not correct. So if we try to define it in that manner, I mean, I am also in favor of this somehow, but I want to give you the facts also. So we have one more minute. So the point I'm trying to make is these are grossly good things, but grossly calling them all being non-sattvic will be harmful for spiritual growth. That's not correct, number one.
Yes.
And that's not correct for physical also. So these are grossly good things, but not 100% reliable.
Needs to be ready for such things also.
Yes.
So if we lead that kind of a lifestyle, then it's a different ball game altogether.
So these points are good to follow for us. But if we stay strictly half of the word, more than half of the word, we're eliminating to be physically unhealthy and spiritually
incompetent.
Incompetent.
Yeah.
If we go by this, like more than 2/3 of the word we are completely putting a cross on them that they are non-spiritual people and they are non-physically healthy people.
Right.
So kindly be more broad-minded in defining it. Sorry.
No. You're right. You're spot on. The world that's why I was saying in this modern world, what is it that we should accomplish?
Next time, because I have more information to share.
That's fantastic. So we can end today's session. It's time. So we can end with Om and 3 Shantis. Next week we will continue with our discussion on with a video from Arvind and also this particular topic on food and mind. So with that, let's end with Om and Three Shantis. Om.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Sai Ram.